What up? It's your boy, the Incredible Man, and yes, I'm back at it again, and this is Dr. Stone, episode 21, discussion/review. Dude, okay, this episode was different. It was very different, but it was still a good episode. I really enjoyed it, and I love the way that everything was done and how they handled everything. Um, Okay, there was a bunch of stuff that went down in the first 12 minutes of this episode. I'm just being real. And then in the back half of this episode was way more slowed down than what happened in the first 12 minutes. But I'm okay with that, the way that they transitioned everything. And I'm fine. And this episode, we didn't see Tsukasa, Hyoga, or Homura, or anybody at all. But now, a couple times, I did expect to see them, like when Chrome went into the cave by himself and stuff, or when they all left the village and left the water wheel or the hydroelectric generator by itself. I thought someone would sabotage it, but okay, I'm cool that they didn't, and I'm kind of happy. But we didn't see them at all in this episode, so I'm definitely thinking next week they're going to make a very heavy presence. Even if they don't come in contact with Senku or anyone, we may actually see Tsukasa's army start to organize and everything, because we're steadily approaching the time, the spring. Because this episode was done very, very nicely, but we dove into something that was very wonderful. We see the whole village coming together to work together to make everything that they need to make the cell phones. And this episode was wonderful, man. I find myself laughing so much because some of the stuff was it was like there were serious moments towards the end, and everything got a little more serious, but like that whole first 12 minutes was so good. And it was so funny. We see the sisters and all of the other girls and some of the other guys in the village, when Senku was like, well, we leveled up with the water generator in the house where they make the fires and everything. So you guys don't have to push that anymore. They was like level 1, level 2, and this is level 3. Where we don't need anybody to do it anymore. And they were all like, yes, we're so happy. And when we have Kinro and Ginro, and where they don't have to turn the other generator by hand anymore, spin it real fast, and we see them high-fiving each other. And we see Ginro, he's just ecstatic, he's crying, he's super happy, his smile is 10 times big. And then we have Ginro doing that, and then we have Kinro. He's just, he's very stoic, so he's just up there, like, got a slight smile, and his hands is bumping his brothers, and he's like, yes, we don't have to do it anymore. So there was a lot of comedic timing as well that was just fun to enjoy and see some of these characters act out on the screen. But there was a lot of stuff going on in those first 12 minutes. But in the first 12 minutes, we skipped 2 months, which I'm okay with the time frame that we're working with, because we know that they kind of got to rush all this stuff, because we're coming, well, not rush, because it was executed very, very well, in my opinion. But we know they got to kind of move all this along, because we're steady approaching the end of the season, and we're going to have that confrontation before the season ends. I know it. I know we're going to have that confrontation. So them moving everything the way that they did this episode, where we skipped 2 months, I'm okay with that. I'm perfectly fine with that. And it was handled so well that you have no complaints from me. So in those 2 months, we end up working on a bunch of stuff, getting everything together for the cell phone. We created batteries. We created light bulbs. We created like the little fire kennel place where they can work better without having to have people man it. Then we hooked up the generator to the hydroelectric power plant. So there's a bunch of stuff going on within these 2 months. And we see how it transitions into winter and everything. And then everyone is putting on like the heavier coats and everything. And we see them storing stuff for the village, putting meat in jars. They've never heard of that. They've never seen anything like that. So there was a lot of stuff compacted into this one episode. And the way that they handled it and transitioned everything through each part, I was okay with it, because it was handled so nicely and so well done. Then we also see everyone in the village working together. Then we see a bunch of the other siblings and stuff, like they're gathering fruit, vegetables. Everybody's working together, and I love that, because this battle is going to be a serious, serious battle, but they're steady working to create the cell phones as well. Then we have old man Kaseki, or Kasai, or however you want to say it. Him and Chrome are just worn out, and they can't do anything until Senku brings up the idea of creating another gear to to go forth and pull back and do all of the extra work, so no one has to really do anything, where the generator in the water hydroelectric power plant does everything by itself. So they created a lot of stuff, and I'm going to be real, the coolest thing that was done for me was the either the light bulbs or the batteries, and I really enjoyed seeing both of those done as well. And I'm with Gin this entire episode. I followed up to them with a certain point, but when they started making like the components for a cell phone and like the extra light bulbs and stuff like that, I'm with Gin. I got lost completely. I have no idea what's going on, but that's what I'm saying, man. This episode handled everything so nicely for it to jump in that time of giving us 2 months, just like them working with everything and storing meat and fixing everything up together to make the cell phones. All of that happened within a time span of 2 months, but they handled it so well that I was completely okay with everything being done that way. And I love the fact that we stayed and focused on the village this time. Like I said, like we didn't see Tsukasa at all. I would have enjoyed to see them and maybe see Homura, how she reacted to how everything went down and how far they've advanced in such a short time. But I'm okay with not seeing that because we got so much from the village standpoint. We see Kohaku and Ruini mashing grapes and everything. So they're doing a bunch of stuff to store up stuff for the winter. Then we have Senku making the light bulbs, him and Chrome and everything. And I love the fact that like they showed them through trial and error making the light bulbs. They couldn't just get it quite right, but then they went back and they made it and it turned out great. Then we jump, and now it's Christmas. It's Christmas, and I love how they handled that transition. It was very nice. Like I said, in the back half of this episode, it didn't get super emotional, but it got a little more emotional because at that point they had made the regular light bulbs, and now they're celebrating Christmas. Well, not celebrating, but just kind of remembering it. Which for Gin and Chrome, I mean not Gin and Chrome, Gin and Senku, that was something that was reminiscent of the old world and something they could feel connected to, because there's not too much of a connection from the old world, and that was something that they could really enjoy. And Senku put up the lights in the trees, cut it on, and all of the villagers came to watch it, and they were surprised and amazed. It looks like twinkling stars. But for Senku and Gin and us, we knew it as Christmas, and it was such a wonderful thing to see that on the screen. Sorry about the train, you guys. And then they were trying to make another, the extra other light bulb for the components for the cell phone, and they weren't getting anywhere with that. Then they decided to have the copper, because we had Chrome going off on a journey digging into the cave because of the light bulbs, and he was like, I can go further deep into the cave with these. It was so fun, man. And they were like, he was like, do you need anything, Senku? He was like, no, we have everything we need. Nothing. And they were like, he just wants to go into the cave because he has the light bulbs and he can go deeper. So it was so fun. And then we see that he really needed to go. So he brought back some copper because of the light bulb they needed for the cell phone components. It really wasn't working with what they had, and they were using bamboo to try to keep it together, to keep the light going. But every time with the copper and everything, it would burn out too fast. So Senku, he got a little discouraged at this time, and Suika stayed up all night to try to find a specific rock to help Senku so she could be helpful and useful. And she found this little tan rock it looked very different from every other rock, but she took it with her, and Gin woke up Senku and everyone else to go see the sunrise at the New Year. Which, see, like I love this. Like, they dove into Christmas and New Year, and they wrapped all this up in 2 months. So now in the next couple episodes, we're gonna dive right into the heavy and the meat of everything. And they get there, and like it's kind of like between twilight and everything, and the ultraviolet light hits the rock and it shines, and it turns out it's tungsten. Now, I don't know much about tungsten, but I know enough to know its name, and that it's super strong. So, dude, like, I love how we're finding out little tidbit stuff each and every episode that could advance everything that we're looking for, and that was super nice. And then they decided they needed to go in the cave to get more tungsten. So then we have Chrome and Senku going, of course, but this was one of my favorite parts of the episode. Senku had to decide someone else to go with them, and they set it up. Tell me that it did not look tell me, did it look just like Jump Force? Like when they were selecting the characters, we had Ginro, Kohaku, everyone, and Suika, and everyone being selected, like scrolling through the people, and then Suika was like, boom, we're taking magma because we're going to do some heavy lifting, we're going to do some busting, and it's going to be hard to get. So we need someone to jump. We need someone strong to get it. And then they showed the screen of them jumping little rocks like Super Mario Brothers going inside the cave. Dude, this episode was really fun, and I really enjoyed it. And like I said at the beginning, I like how they handled the little time jump. I wouldn't say time skip because they didn't skip anything, but the little time jump of us getting flash forward into 2 months and them working those whole 2 months in the process, seeing the villagers connect and react with everything, them learning how to store food for the winter and everything. And this was a wonderful episode, even though we didn't see Tsukasa or Homura or Hyoga or anything knowing what's going on in their case. But I enjoyed every single moment of it, man. This is your boy Dick Incredible. Don't forget to smash that like button so you can't smash it anymore. Comment down below and I'll be sure to respond to each and every one of them. And subscribe. But only if you really want to, man. Peace out. Oh, I forgot. Anime matters, anime is greatness, and anime is life, man. I'm so sorry. My mind is rattled. Peace out, man.